Avatar: The Last Airbender is not only one of the best animated series of all time, but is just one of the best stories of all time. It's funny, it's gorgeous, it's emotional, it's bursting with heart and soul, and it radiates such a strong energy of love and kindness at every turn. My first experience with Avatar was back in 2010, when I was a very naive, carefree, and innocent little child. See, there I am right there. That's me. But then, pretty much without warning, my family decided to go see a cool new movie that had just come out in theaters. And as much damage as I'm about to do to my reputation and general standing as a moral human being, I unfortunately have to admit that I liked this movie. A lot. I think I was like 9 years old at the time, and my taste was not great. In fact, I can't even really remember much of anything I liked at the time. My memory is just filled with ew. Anyway, I did eventually grow a brain, and I can, thankfully, say that I no longer like this movie. Or at least not unironically. It's very funny. But what this movie did do for me is bring me to the show. After I walked out of the theater, one of my cousins told me that the rest of the story was already told in a TV show, and that he'd love to watch it with me. So he started me off on the second season, since the movie covered the first, which, looking back, was an interesting choice, but whatever. And over the span of the next few months, I got to experience the true beauty of this incredible work of art. I mean, right off the bat, what is there not to like? Just from the very concept alone, these people are literally shooting fire from their hands and tossing the ground at each other. It's awesome. The different bending styles in Avatar are also beautifully fleshed out, each based on a different martial art, and all conveyed expertly. The attention to detail here is truly remarkable, and it goes a very long way in making bending feel like a real thing, and not just fantasy. Each element is so vastly different in all aspects, both thematically and in how they are practically executed. Airbending is quick and agile, waterbending patient and flowy, earthbending is slow and strong, and firebending aggressive and direct. The depth of each element's abilities are also explored in surprising ways with each passing season. It could have very easily been as simple as just tossing around water and fire, but it's pushed so much further than that. Airbenders can create tornadoes, balls of wind, and literally fly. Waterbending not only makes use of ice and snow, but is revealed to be so strong that it literally allows those of a certain mastery to manipulate sweat and blood. Skilled enough earthbenders are capable of utilizing the most minuscule particles of earth to bend metal, and focused enough firebenders can summon lightning on command. All of this stuff is awesome, and it's astounding the creativity on display. Aang wraps himself in crystals as armor, Katara wields large strokes of water as if they were tentacles, and Uncle Iroh literally breathes fire. You can tell the animation team held nothing back and just really went for it. They definitely didn't err on the side of caution. And it all takes place in this vast, rich world heavily inspired by primarily Asian cultures that manages to feel both modern and ancient at the same time. Each nation is so wonderfully thought out and executed, all bursting with original and masterfully depicted architecture that brings about such a tangible sense of place and scale. The level of detail here is insane, with all these massive towering structures, all these jagged ends, and fully illustrated materials. And each nation's structures expertly convey the intended vibe of the cultures and the elements themselves. The air temples feel so mysterious, the water tribes so proud, the earth kingdom immensely defensive, and the fire nation foreboding. It's absolutely insane how much detail and creativity was jam-packed into these places, and how distinctly unique they all feel as a result. And then they're also filled to the brim with so much life and so much energy. Cities are packed with citizens bustling around having lively conversations. There's always things being sold, there's always guards on the lookout, kids running and playing, and sometimes a bunch of animals too. And then the few locations that don't feel so lively are very intentionally and expertly desolate. The creators of this series knew exactly how much life to imbue into each and every part of this world, and it shows. Speaking of life, the main cast of characters are absolutely filled with it. I can't think of too many other stories at all that manage to give this much energy, this much heart, and this much soul to their main characters without it feeling in any way forced. And this is especially important for a show like Avatar to get right, because with the exception of Iroh and Ozai, all the leads are children. A fact the show is very intentional about keeping at the forefront, providing heaps of moments for them to just be children, and keeping their dialogue and performances wholly authentic to their ages. Let's start with Aang. It's been said a million times and will continue to be said a million more, but he is a perfect protagonist. He's layered, he's complicated, he's flawed, he's fun, he's genuine, he's relatable, and he's tremendously easy to root for. It can sometimes feel like the lead character in a story is a bit of a placeholder for the audience themselves, but that is not the case with Aang. He is very blatantly his own person with his own personality. He does not feel like filler for the viewer, and yet he still manages to be relatable in his struggles and in his aspirations, which is a very tricky thing to pull off. And the whole way through the series, he grows and he matures in very believable and realistic ways. The Aang we meet in episode 1 is not the Aang we say goodbye to in the finale. The difference between the two, and honestly the difference between all of these characters from their first to last appearance, is incredibly striking. But when you follow their journeys from start to finish, it all makes perfect sense, and it's never too vague or doubtful of just how we got here. Katara is brash and quick to anger, yet has the biggest heart of all. She is a force to be reckoned with, both in battle and as a friend, never afraid to call out someone when they are wrong, lift someone out of a place of darkness, or just provide love and compassion whenever necessary. Sokka is overconfident and unfocused, and must learn not just how to lead properly, but how and when to step back and let others lead him. Toph is a closed-off, headstrong, isolated young girl who can handle a lot on her own, but ultimately needs to realize that there's more strength to be found in her friends. Even Appa and Momo have their own complexities and journeys that make them incredibly endearing in their own special ways. They all go on such rich journeys that are so deeply rooted in the growth of compassion, kindness, friendship, love, and maturity, and the struggles they face and the ways in which they overcome them make them relatable in very unique ways. There's genuinely something for everyone. Even with the villains, there's a ton of growth and masterful character work. Azula has an arc that ends up being the polar opposite to that of the main crew, burying herself deeper and deeper into chaos, hate, and isolation. While the story of our heroes depicts forming bonds and friendships with people of all kinds, even past adversaries, Azula's story is about pushing everyone away, even those whose companionship seemed unshakable. And on the complete opposite end of things, Fire Lord Ozai, the series antagonist, basically has no growth or development of maturity. At all. And it's still brilliant. It's an amazing contrast to the slow, gradual journey of these kids, clashing with a stuck, evil man unable to budge even slightly from his insatiable greed. Which obviously just, makes him a very relatable character. The two characters from Avatar that I love the most are, without a doubt, Uncle Iroh and Prince Zuko. Iroh is wonderfully consistent, kind, and patient, and I think it's fair to say he's served as a very good on-screen role model for a lot of us as children, and in many ways, even as adults. Much in the same way that it's hard to make a protagonist who's not an audience fill-in, I think it's immensely difficult to write a wise mentor character who actually has something to teach, especially to do so in a way that's not preachy, condescending, or obvious. Iroh's role in the lives of the audience, I think, proves equal to that of his role as a character. His wisdom and his lessons are gentle when they need to be, firm when they need to be, and all filled with unyielding patience and love. This is just such a special character. And as for his nephew, Zuko, my personal favorite character, I don't know if there's many better character arcs to be found in just anything. Zuko is a brat at first, he's awful, but we know that in the end he's one of the greatest heroes of all, and the journey he takes to get to this point is nothing short of phenomenal. The time that Avatar gives Zuko to develop is a masterful display of character work. He is given a huge amount of time to be greatly detestable, yet still has many moments to show his soft side, his kind and troubled side. And after the first season, when life changes dramatically for him, he doesn't just suddenly go pure good. He still struggles, he still makes questionable moral decisions, and in a truly genius choice on the writer's part, he slips up immensely and falls right back into all of his old ways, just at the moment we think he's been redeemed. It makes his arc feel so much more realistic, because not a lot of people can change so dramatically on their first attempt. The show allows Zuko to dive fully back into his old ways and show us, as an audience, what that really looks like for him. And when it finally comes down to his true change of heart, it feels that much more rewarding, because we've experienced the pain of seeing him lose himself once, and now we know, just that much more, how much his redemption really means. And all of this leads to some of the most genuine, heartwarming, exciting, and earned moments in the series. These characters and the relationships they share with each other are just so special. Whether it's in their conflicts, their friendships, or their love, it all just feels so human. And it really makes you ask the question, what are they going to do next? Okay. As we all know, the way a character or a story is written can only take you so far. Those things also need to be presented well, to be conveyed as well as they were conceptualized. And in presentation, Avatar just does not miss. The characters are all drawn so alive and expressive, and you never question what they're feeling and thinking. Whether they're concentrating, letting out their anger, freaking out with excitement, or crying their eyes out, the animators just gave it their all and brought them to life with stunning force. To point a moment out in specific that I've always loved, this little moment with Aang and Zuko is just adorable, and I can't fathom a better facial expression here.
I don't care what everyone else says about you. You're pretty smart.
And there's so many examples like this. I love Aang's unfiltered excitement here, and Toph's petty little smirks, and Azula's absolute insanity, and then Katara's rage, and then Suki's what emotion is this actually? What? Wait. Wait, no, oh my god. And then the bending obviously speaks for itself. Look how good they got that fire to look. Look how clean that water animation is. Sometimes you just have to stop and think about how well done this stuff is, or it'll really slip past you. Like how heavy and impactful the earthbending actually feels, thanks in large part to the dust, rubble, and particles that come off of the dirt and the rock. And then just how right the depiction of airbending is. That's something that I imagine was very hard to figure out, literally trying to depict something that in real life would be totally invisible, but here we can see it all the time and it just looks perfect. The same goes for the backgrounds of this show. You just kind of have to stop and appreciate them. I'm a huge fan of putting traditional 2D animation on top of hand-painted backgrounds, and Avatar is one of my favorite examples of that. It's such a powerful way to bring about contrast, separating the things we need to focus on the most with the things that, while still very important, need to be just what they are, the background. And it's not even that it's all just illustrated well, but it's framed well and it's colored well. Avatar features absolutely jaw-dropping cinematography, tons and tons and tons of shots that I think stand among the greatest of the entire medium. Everything is always exactly where it needs to be in the shot, and colored in a way that brings all the focus to where it needs to be, and also creates the appropriate mood every time. It's beyond astounding how vibrant and diverse the shots in the show really are. Like, just look at all of this. Think about how much mood, atmosphere, and soul each of these images evokes in you. Nothing blends together, nothing feels samey or standard, it's all just pure, gorgeous art. And then, as if all of this beautiful character work and beautiful animation wasn't enough, Avatar also goes out of its way to play a world-class symphony on your heartstrings. Literally, the instant the show starts, they hit you with this iconic, momentous, epic orchestra that latches onto your soul.
Water. Earth. Fire. Air.
And then they go, okay, now we're gonna get all silly and goofy and weird. But then they turn around and they slap you in the face with the coolest thing you'll ever hear in your life. And then, pretending as if they didn't just rock your entire world, they gut punch you with this piece exploding with pure raw emotion. And it just never lets up. Some of the fastest-paced, most pulse-pounding themes, some of the most reflective, contemplative, emotional themes, and some of the most grand, epic, and thunderous themes are all found in this show, and all utilizing a wide range of instruments in such perfect, mesmerizing ways that fit snugly into this world and its vibes and its atmosphere flawlessly. I don't think it'd be wrong to say that the music is absolutely earth-shattering. I thought that one would at least get a laugh. One of my favorite memories from watching this show was seeing the first Agni Kai between Zuko and Zhao, and thinking to myself, that was one of the coolest scores I've ever heard. And then, before I got to the end of the series, I had found out that there would be another Agni Kai, a final Agni Kai, in the last few episodes. And I got incredibly excited at what new, epic, fast-paced, electrifying new theme I was going to get to hear. And then, when I got to that episode, the music started, and it was this. I was incredibly surprised and satisfied in a way that I was not expecting at all. Sometimes Avatar just does that. Sometimes the music just does that, and it's really cool. That song and that scene, for that matter, are now my favorite in the whole story, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. I also don't think it'd be fair to talk about music in Avatar without at least mentioning Leaves from the Vine, which I don't even really feel needs dwelled on because I think it speaks best for itself. We all know this is a very special song. It's beautiful, it's powerful, and it's perfect. With Avatar, you just get these amazing, well-paced scenes, fully realized in gorgeous animation, and layered with complex, epic pieces of music, and it just makes magic. There's so much in Avatar that just feels like it couldn't have been done any better, and you just have to ask yourself, how did they think of this? The fight scene with Aang, the Blue Spirit, and the Fire Nation guards, it's so fast, it's so intense, and it pushes you to the edge of your seat. The changing color scheme of the Season 1 finale depicting shifting, changing power dynamics within this all-out war. The library buried beneath a desert housing a hoard of ancient knowledge and wisdom, all guarded by a giant spirit owl. Short, bite-sized stories told within the confines of a larger episode, ranging from dumb fun to cry your eyes out emotional. There's even an episode that recaps the entire series directly before the finale, and also pokes a whole bunch of fun at itself. This whole series is just a beautiful display of artistry, from the animation, to the voice acting, to the sound, to the music, and everything in between. And all bringing to life one of the most engaging, emotional, and beautiful stories ever told. So, let's talk about that story. On paper, the story Avatar tells is honestly not all that complicated. There's a big mean guy who wants to rule everything, and a little kid destined to beat him up. But he's not powerful enough yet, so he has to travel the world learning a bunch of fancy tricks. Obviously, it is way cooler in execution, and there's more depth than that, but that's the basic gist. And so the story is born from the long adventure that Aang goes on to learn how to bend every element, and more specifically, the relationships that he forms along the way, whether they be good, bad, or whatever this one is. Without relationships, Avatar wouldn't be as special as it is. It would be as simple as Aang and his friends traveled to an air temple, but found nothing. So they went to an island, but got attacked. So they went to a big city, but they realized they had to go somewhere else, so they left. If this is all Avatar was, it would still be very cool, what with its animation, music, sound, action, and etc., but it wouldn't have that same heart or that same soul. The story of Avatar is twofold. Half the story is about the literal journey to stop the Fire Nation from conquering the world, and the other half is about the journey of the main cast's relationships. Every member of the main cast is so intimately intertwined, and what matters most is their interactions and how they develop and grow from each other. There's a reason why Aang isn't the one to face Admiral Zhao in the Season 1 finale, and why Zuko isn't the one who ends up defeating Azula. It's because the core of the story lies not in the physical things happening, but in the relationships between them and what their battles mean for their personal arcs. This isn't a story of heroes fighting some faceless army of evil goons. Instead, it's one that actually takes the time to humanize and get to know the enemy. It's a story where the secondary antagonists are all friends, and their biggest moment together comes from the breaking of that friendship. Sokka's big moment in the finale is when he chooses to hang on to his friend despite knowing he'll die because of that choice. Zuko's climactic moment comes not from beating his sister in a fight, but from being able to save a friend over himself. And Aang's biggest moment is in his decision to contradict all of his ancestors, to contradict who many expect him to be, in order to save the life of a man far beyond redemption, a man consumed by greed and hatred just because he believes that, despite all of that, his life still has value. It's pretty blatant that the theme here is that of kindness, of love, and of the true importance of life overall. Every character's arc is about shedding what once kept them angry, bitter, isolated, lost, or whatever else, and choosing to prioritize another. In a way, for all of these characters, it's about abandoning ego and embracing togetherness. And again, this is all paired with that amazing, immaculate presentation, unlike any other show of its kind. A presentation which ultimately serves to bring forth these themes of companionship, of kindness, of hope, of togetherness, and of love. And because this is all realized so expertly, it manages to genuinely pull at your heartstrings and feel uniquely personal to its audience. It's all just straight fire. Sometimes when I write these scripts, I don't know what to say, but I'm trying, and I kind of like, I think honestly the most special thing that there is about Avatar is the way the story connected with its audience. It feels very different than a lot of other shows or movies or anything else. We all have stories that we enjoy watching or that entertain us, but to genuinely love a story in your core is another matter entirely. And not just singularly, but as a collective fan base. I don't think there's any other TV series or film or book that I love that are nearly as universally beloved by so many other people. Everyone I know, without fail, loves Avatar. It's unanimous. The people I know that grew up watching the show love it, and the people I know that discovered it much later love it. My best friend found it around the same time that I did, and he loves it. When I met my girlfriend and we started talking about TV, she told me that she loves it. All of my college friends love it. All of my online friends love it. Literally, as I'm sitting here recording this script, one of my friends is watching it for the very first time and texting me about how much he's loving it. I have quite literally never met a person who does not love this show. And as a result of this, it genuinely brings people together. It's a shared passion for everyone to discuss, to share memories in, and to bond over. The show about togetherness literally fosters togetherness in the real world. It's like Avatar transcends age, gender, race, and everything else to just exist as this timeless, moving, universally beloved work of art. And I genuinely believe that is because of everything that this show radiates. Every season, every episode, every scene, every frame was given so much attention, so much care, and so much love that it feels as if it couldn't hold it all in, and so it ends up pouring all of its love back onto its audience. Avatar exists on a foundation of kindness, of hope, of life, and I'm just gonna say it again, of love.